Well, hey, there you are. Thank you for stopping back by this week. We are back with our 10K bike giveaway, and our 10K is coming up very soon. We've got to get this bike on the road. Check everything out, make sure it's going to be a good bike, and then we can get all of our tins and stuff back off and into the hands of Chase Spears from Paint by Spears. Let him do his magic on that while we kind of clean this up and do some things. So welcome back to Butler Customs Motorcycle Shop. Now in the first video we got this bike running, and in the second video we started trying to put it back together and ran into a lot of issues in the primary side. We had a stripped thread on one of the primary bolts, and our drain plug was stripped out. And looking at that drain plug, I think it's an oversized drain plug already. We might need to rethread it or just get an even bigger size, maybe like off an old truck or something. So we got to change these T-bars. I hate T-bars, as you know. We're changing that. And so we've got a 1992 handlebar, switches and everything. I think it's a whole wiring harness. We might just use the whole harness because we've not got this really routed anywhere. I wanted to bring you along. I didn't want you to miss out on anything because I know you're kind of watching and invested in it. So what we've got to do is let's go ahead and swap these bars out. I believe they're stock 1992 bars. I'm going to leave the controls and the wiring harness hanging because we might just integrate that on everything. Let's come on. Let's get to wrenching. Okay, I got everything kind of disconnected from the bars. I just slid the grips off, got them hanging down here with the headlight, undid the brake cable, which it was loose. There was no fluid in it anyway. Now we got a 3/4 inch with a brake bar. I'm gonna get on these bolts, just get them loose. Now we can put this on. Finally getting over my sickness. It's been like a week and a half, and my wife got it before I did, and she's still sick with it. So it's been rough around the house. Now 1, 2, 3 of our kids have it. There we go. Now we can set that aside. And I want to leave the bushings in because I don't know if the other bars have the bushings or not. If they do, we might take them out. I don't remember there being a lot of play in these, so I'll probably just reuse those if we can. It all depends on the sleeve here for the other bars. Okay, so I found these risers here, which are, I believe, stock risers. And that's going to give us the clamps here for the bracket for the speedometer, so that's good. And they came with these bushings on them with the bolts. But we're going to try to reuse these, and they do thread in. So that should, by theory, work. Yes, as long as, you know, the threads don't go up past where they're supposed to go, we are good. I think that's going to work for us. Let me get this run back up in here. We'll get these on here. Make sure I got them turned the right way. All right, that one grabbed. I don't want to cross thread these. That one grabbed as well. These have the lock washers on them, so you don't have to worry about red Loctiting them. And now I have this whole handlebar set with the headlight bracket top, switches on it, handlebar controls. It's got good grips on it. It's got a clutch bracket on it, front brake reservoir on it, and all the wiring. So it's been pretty hacked up and cut up. It does have the turn signal module on it. I don't think this one did, so that's good. and then it already has a Dynatec 200 already on it. So we could just plug in our pickup, and it's got all of our 4 relays there, mechanical relays. And now we're doing all of this to get, you know, bars on there that we like, that are comfortable, but also to measure for our clutch cable, because you have to take the primary cover off to change that dude out on these models, these years. So this has to be done kind of first. I think I found us a cable that's short enough that's going to work, because these bars with these risers are probably going to be even shorter as far as height wise than those T-bars were. I think these bolts are the same lengths. We'll check just to make sure. No, they are different lengths. Okay, and they are all different lengths. They just threw whatever they had in there, which is fine. It works. It works. Now we'll go ahead and set our bars up there with all the garbly goo already on it. We'll try to get them kind of centered best we can. We can move them around later on. It's no big deal. Put our top cap on. We'll go ahead and get some bolts started in here. Yeah, these are old school bars. Kind of got those little bit of rabbit ears going on. They're kind of bent back a little bit. Most people didn't like those. One of the first things they took off and changed. But this gives you kind of that vintage feel when you're riding down the road. Kind of elbows in, you know what I'm saying? Personally, I don't care for them, but to me, they are a better option than the T-bars. We're not going to worry about torquing these or Loctiting them right now, because we got to put our bracket up here for our speedometer. And I think the speedometer on this harness that comes on these bars has been cut off. Those bushings feel good, feel normal. Okay, so the wiring harness. I don't think I'm going to use it. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get the controls off. The grips are good. They're the fat grips. I don't care for those, but they're grips. If I find some other ones, we might can throw them on there. All right, so let me get these controls off, housing off, clutch housing, and put the other one on. Got our bars on. Got the bracketry on. Mounted up there. I did use this grip that was on the bars, primarily because I couldn't get that one off, but I did go ahead and use the brake reservoir that was on these bars. And here's the reason. When I started swapping them, I noticed that this brake reservoir and master cylinder is probably not for a Harley. It's got this right here that is my brake switch, and on the Harley the brake switches, as you know, are in this housing, and when this comes back or when you squeeze the handle, it releases that little switch which sends signal to turn the light on. I didn't want to have to run new wiring in order for this to work. So I'm actually glad we swapped the bars out now, because I wouldn't have noticed that, and that would have gave us trouble later. Another thing I did notice is that this is a DLT4 reservoir, and Harley's run DLT5 on this model and year. So I'm hoping nobody put DLT4 fluid in it, because you cannot mix Department of Transportation numbers. You can't do that. They will gel up, they'll congel on you. So I've not even opened this up yet. It did have still some fluid in it. I got the line hooked up, so we will need to flush that caliper in case they did put DLT4 in it, and hope that there's no signs of gelling up or anything. Now with our bars up here, we know the height that we're going to be. The cable that I shoved in there is way too long. So if I hold this up here, you know, that's just way too long. I did find another cable that I think is going to work pretty good for us. Okay, so with this shorter clutch cable, it'll go in it'll set about right there. And then when this gets hooked up here, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be the perfect length that we need. So this is going to work great for us. It looks like it's got the same thread, We'll put the O-ring off that on this. So now at this time, I'm saying that to say all this, we can go ahead and get in here. Fix the 2 thread places that we need to. Then we can go ahead and run our new cable in, button everything up, and then we're able now to add fluid. While I was putting this together, I felt something weird, and I want to show you what that is. I bought some parts just in case it's bad. All right, now I didn't torque anything down last time. When I realized that was bad and our drain plug was bad, we just kind of left it alone. So that's a good thing. I'm going to get this little rubber booty off. I showed you in the last time, you can just take a 1/2 inch extension and stick in there. But I had one of your subscribers send me this little doodabber. Look at that thing, that's pretty cool. So this is made actually as a tool to go in there. Now it don't fit this model, but you can flip it over and it's grooved, kind of shaved off, and it'll fit in there. So we can just take us a 3/8 extension and stick in there and then turn that loose like that. That's pretty cool. So thank you to the subscriber that sent me this. I'll throw his username up there. That was very, very kind of him. It was such a nice gift. So I definitely want to give him credit for that. And we'll take our spring and our little keeper out. Try to keep these all together. My chain tensioner. Okay, so we got to bring that dude down. I think it's a 1/2 inch. Yep, it's a 1/2 inch. I'm just going to zip it down all the way, relieve tension on our primary. Take that off as well. Okay, now I think we can just go ahead and just start zipping them all off. And if you remember last time, we didn't know how they went. So I'll try to kind of lay them in order. Oh, that was a T. That's a T. Remember those? What were they, like a T27 or something? Now there's no oil in here. Let me grab these. I think they were a T27. Now I did find another bag of bolts, so I would like to change these back T30s. That way you got the same hardware on everything. All right, now this should all be ready. Oh yeah, that comes off with it. Duh. I forgot that's got to come off with it. Why didn't you say something? Sitting here watching me wiggle and wiggle, laughing at me. Come on, man. Gotta help me out. Now the problem that I felt, I think I felt right in here. I want to get this out and show you what I think the problem is. And now looking at it, I'm glad I bought the parts for it. Okay, now, now it comes off a little bit easier. I'll be careful of my gasket and my spline there. All right, I'll lay this to the side. We got to do some work. My gasket still looks good. That's good. Now, my problem, I think, I've not squeezed the clutch yet, but I think I got a problem with this right here. I think this bearing has gotten loose in this housing and it's pushing back. So let me get a clip here and we'll get this out and I'll show you what I'm looking at. All right, and this should pull out here. I'm thinking that this bearing is coming out of this. Yeah, see that? So that's just walking out of there. So that's not good. So I'm glad I felt that when I did, because that would have gave us problems going down the road, especially in adjusting the clutch. When this starts happening and this starts pulling out, you will never get your clutch adjusted properly because it's going to come out the width of that bearing. It's never going to work properly because that bearing will go way back in there way too far. So what I got, I ordered a new piece like this, and this is, you can tell, been all beat to death anyway. And I ordered a new bearing as well. Both of these, of course, from V-Twin. It's about the only one that makes hardly parts this old anymore. So this is for an 85 to 90, and the same for this bearing. So what you'll do is just get these two out, and then all you'll do, I like to go numbers out when I'm pressing. And you can actually just take a socket and fit over here and press it, or even put it in a vise and press it, just as long as it's going in level. With this old piece, it's just way too much slop. I can push this in and push it out. See that? You should not be able to do that with this. And so that was going to be a problem for us. Now what I've got to do, I've got to transfer this over to the new bearing, and it's just got a snap ring here that I'll take off and push this threaded part up this way and then snap it into this bearing. But before I do that, I want to get my bearing seated in here. It's a little bit easier to do. So what I'll do is just set this on a flat surface. I like to usually set a block of wood over it once I know I've got it kind of centered. You can even do you a socket that'll fit over there. Just be careful of your bearings. And then you just tap it with a hammer and tap it in. Then it'll be seated in. You could also put this in a freezer. And if you wanted to just warm this up a little bit, to expand this, contract this, and it'll drop right in for you. You don't have to grease it or anything like that. It needs to be a press fit. That way, this bearing does not come out on you. Now we'll see how this fits up in there a little bit better. So it's going to be a lot better fit for us. Well, I'm back from the parts store and ballet practice. It's fun to see my granddaughter practice ballet. It reminds me of my own daughter, her mama out there doing it. Crazy how time flies, you know. When my kids were babies, couldn't wait for them to grow up so that I could do things with them and they could enjoy it. And now when they do, they just whoop, shoot right on up. They grow so quick. I went to the old parts store and picked up this oversized oil drain plug piggyback, and it's easy to spot the oversized ones. They'll have the slits here that are small, and then they'll cut new threads as you screw this in. And I got this because anytime you do oversized plugs, you'll put it in, pull it out, put it in, pull it out, put it in, pull it out. Eventually, it'll get loose too if the threads are weak. So I got this little doodabber here. So now you can just put a wrench on that and take this off to drain. Pretty cool. I think it's going to be the right size for us. I took the old one in to just kind of compare, and it wound up being an M12 1 1/4 oil drain plug piggyback. So I think that's going to work for us. It came with this little plastic washer. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to put this O-ring on it, and I'm probably going to put thread tape on this, but it should seal up pretty good. So all I got to do now, really, because I can see under here, is just run this plug up in there. It's going to clear. The only thing I don't like about it is not magnet. It's not magnetized. So, you know, you got to pick what you can do. I think this is going to be a good fit for us. So I just want to make sure that I get it started up in there good and straight. I did put the old parts store mics on it, calipers on it, and this plug was 1/1000ths bigger than this. So I think that's going to be a good tight fit for us. Is it a 3/4 inch? It is, okay. All right, so what I wanted to do was to get something that's not going to spread the case out so much that it splits it. I want it to cut new threads, and I don't want to drill because I can't really get nothing on here. Yes, I could lay the bike over and drill, but I'm thinking this is going to work for us. All right. Oh yeah, perfect. And I'm looking down here, it has not come up past the case where it's in the way of the basket or anything. Wow. I can't believe that worked perfect for us. So I might pull this off since this isn't going to come off anymore. Yeah, perfect. Since this isn't going to come off anymore, I'm going to pull this out, red thread lock it, and it's got that O-ring on there. I think that'll be good. I'll thread tape this and put this in here, but that solved that problem. Very good. Okay, I got my red on there. I did clean the threads off of here, blow out up in here, and stuck a rag up in there and cleaned all that out. I also ran a magnet up in the hole just to catch something that might just have been setting up in there. But I think this is going to work good for us. It's going to be better than what it was, I know that. And this will stay in there, so it won't keep coming in and out and in and out and in and out. So it should last a long, long time. Oh yeah, that gripped good. Okay, now for this, we're not going to use an O-ring. It would do no good because it's got a little head on it. And I do want to see what size. All right, that's a 7/16. I am going to wrap some thread tape on it. And you always put your thread tape, you probably already know this, but I like to put my thread tape here and then turn my bolt how I'm going to put it in. That way the thread tape doesn't, if I put it on backwards, when I'll go to screw it in, the thread tape would just come off and would defeat the purpose of said thread tape. And then all I got to do is just run this little cap up in here. And I will tell whoever wins this bike, hey buddy, when you change your oil, take that little drain plug out. Take you a 3/4 and take you a 7/16 and run that up in there. Now, we still have clearance for our, which I might need to tighten that thing dude up. Yeah, we need a new spring on that, don't we? Go to TSC and get us a spring. We still have clearance for our kickstand. And so that is done. No more leaks there. Now, about this. Okay, this here is so wallered out. It's about 5 times what these holes should be. So there's no way any of these helical things are going to work. So we got to figure out something else to do. This is as far as it goes back. If this swing arm wasn't in the way, we could just put a bolt on the back and run anything in there and tighten it by that. But you can't get anything back here behind this. Okay, it looks to me like somebody has already tried one of these. It looks like that's what's in it. I don't have very many threads at all left on it. I would really need to drill to get that out. So I really don't know what to do. Maybe we could drill to get one of these back in there, but I'm telling you, I don't even think these are deep enough to go back in there. And then I've got to be able to put my holder gasket upper thing in there. So whatever I put in there cannot stick out past this. This has to go in, or we can shave this down to match. Because if this sticks out too far, then our gasket's never going to seal. So it'll keep the cover kicked out. So we've got to figure out something on that. It is getting dark out here. I think I'm going to pause here. Then we can start fresh in the morning. But I'm happy we got this fixed. And it's underneath the bike. It's not going to be a big eyesore or anything like that. So if you're ever in a bind, get you one of those. Now, I almost bought, also because I didn't know if this was going to work, one of those rubber things with the screw things on it. And it's just a big long rubber thing sticks up in there and then you screw it. But this plug, this drain is so close to this stopper for my kickstand, I didn't know if I'd have enough room to put that up in there and then twist it. They work good. I have one on Lucy. On Lucy, I lost the inspection plug up here. Actually, a friend of mine rode the bike because he always wanted to ride a panhead and come back and it was blowing oil everywhere. We looked and looked and looked down my road for that because he just took it in there and rode it back, but we could not find it. So I took one of those plugs like that, and that's been in there for years, probably 6 years. And so they do good, they do fine. But for here, I don't think it would work. So this worked out good. And we're back. Good morning to you, and yes, even you. We got to fix this, and then we can start putting everything back together. I have a nice Blue Point tap and die set. This is metric. Might start with standard, see what we got. I think Blue Point was what was before snap-on, and then they became snap-on, I think. We are going to have to go with a bigger bolt. So right now I'm just kind of taking a gamble, sticking things in there. Too small. How about you? What are you? This is a 5/16 24. Okay, I like that, but that might be a little too big, because what I need to do, I was about to mess up. So whatever I tap this out to be, it's got to fit through my dowel, and that's not going to do it unless I leave the dowel out. Might have to, because if I find one that actually fits in the hole like this 1/4 inch, it'll fit through here, but it's just still too sloppy to do any good. So I might have to leave this out in order for it to fit. Let's give this a shot and see how it goes. There's just not much threads before it's bottoming out. I want to be careful not to crack or split this case here. Then we're in big trouble. Let's see how it goes. I will be using lube and stuff. Will I even be able to turn this with the basket on? I will not. So this handle's not going to work for me because it is going to be in the way of the basket. The basket's going to be in its way. So then let me get a socket that's going to fit on there, a square socket. Then we can get it out here where we can actually turn it. Okay, I got a 9/32 12 point. That's going to fit it really good with an extension on it. I can bring it back here. It's so wallered out. This will probably go ahead and grip good. We might have to drill out. I'm not sure yet. I'm putting a little bit of inward force on it, trying to keep it as straight as I can. It is cutting pretty good. Let's take this out, kind of inspect and see how that's working for us. Yes, okay, it is cutting good. Looks like that's going to be a right size for us. I'm going to get some lube up in there now that we know that's going to probably work for us. Okay, that might be enough threads there for us to hold that down. So here's what I've got to be careful of. I've got to be careful not to go all the way to the back, about where it's going to go back at, but I think I'm there. I think I'm as far back now as I can go. So let me get a little brush in here to clean out. I'll of course spray some carb cleaner in there, and I will spray some air in there, and then I will lube it again before we put it in. Then all we got to do is find the bolt, maybe drill out a little bit on the primary cover. These little carb brushes do really good cleaning all that out. If you don't have a brush that's big enough, just put, 2 or 3 together. Yeah, I have threaded, you probably can't see, but I have actually threaded all the way to the back there where that's capped off. So I really don't want to go any more than that, because if I do, then that's putting excess pressure on the threads that I'm cutting, and it'll hit that backstop and it'll just blow the threads out. Then we're in trouble and we've done nothing but made the hole bigger. All right, I'm happy with that. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to see in there or not, but we have threaded all the way to the back there. That's as many threads as we're going to be able to get in that. So with my case, it goes in 3/4 of an inch. And now I need to add how deep this thread goes as well, and add that to the 3/4. It's going to be just over a 1/2 inch. So that would be 1 1/4 inch thread is what I need. When I cut this, the 24 is a extra fine thread, which is almost impossible to find. I did find this in my bucket drawer, but it's 4 foot long. I guess you could use it as a mid-pegs. No, not going to work. However, I found tons of these. Perfect length, exactly what I need, but they're coarse thread. So I got 2 options. I can go to the hardware store and try to find a 5/16 extra fine thread, 24 pitch, with an Allen head this length. Or I can actually recut this for a coarse thread, and that would actually give us the perfect length. That's an 18 pitch. Yep. Okay, so I've got it. So what do? These threads are good in there. I'm worried if we cut again and cut coarse, it just won't be, it'll mess it up. And then what do? We really can't go any bigger because we're already probably gonna have to drill out a little bit on the cover on that one hole to get a 5/16 to fit in there. I was nervous as a cat tapping this, worrying about this cracking as old as it is, worrying about this blowing out as much pressure as you're putting on it to tap. We got it good. I really don't want to mess with this again when it's something simple as finding the right hardware. I want it a little bit thick, a little bit longer, a scoosh longer than what it measures, because you've got your gasket as well. It's going to go in between here and create a gap. And I want as many threads as we can. Now I know it's not really something that's detrimental to the bike, but I want it to seal up. If this doesn't get a good seal, you're going to have oil, you know, up to about here. And if this doesn't get a good seal, you're constantly going to get a leak out of here. So I'm trying to do the right thing, but I don't know if I want to mess the threads up that we've got in there already. It would save us from going out. We could go ahead and button this primary up and get on to the wiring and all that jazz. Okay, since I got to go out anyway, let me get the right hardware. If something happens and they don't have an Allen head 5/16 24 pitch extra fine threads, then we'll come back and have to tap this back out again for the course. I guess I should have checked my bolt bucket or cardboard box before. Now in the meantime, before I have to leave for the day, let's go ahead and get the clutch cable in, because to do the clutch cable, all this has to come out. So we've got to bend these ears back again, get these 3 little bolts out, pull this whole thing up to get this arm out of here so that we can get this swung over here, to get the keeper released, and then to get our clutch cable actually out and a new one in, put it all back together. We've already greased everything up, so it's just a matter of taking these out, getting the cable out, putting everything back in. So I won't bore you with that because you've seen it, I think, in the first video, maybe the second video. Then we can move on and get this thing on the daggum road. Okay, I've been getting on it. Try to get as much done as I could before I have to leave for the evening, and then be another day while we're working on this. Went back to dump the footage of everything that I filmed, and I lost it all. It's all gone, every bit of it. I said the most profound thing I think I've ever said in my life, and now I forgot it. So you'll just have to take me on my word at it. It was good. It was really good. Let me walk you around it and show you what I've done already. All right, forward controls on this side installed. Just got to get the little bracket that hangs down here for the clicky clacky. I did just reroute the wires just kind of so they're a little bit better. This is by no means going to be our final state of it, but I did clean it up a little bit. So then we'll take it down the road, and when we get back, we'll strip everything off for spears, and then we'll do a nice rewiring. Also, I did put the clutch cable in, so that's ready to go. Found the fender, threw it on there. It does have these little tabs here for my 4 mechanical relays. However, on the mechanical relays, they have like cut the bracket off. Of course, they won't snap into this anymore. So I'm going to just pick up some mechanical relays. They're cheap. Then we can get rid of this crossover bar here. They'll fit in there a little bit better. Also, I got this side cover on. I had to reroute the oil line and get it to fit a little bit better to get this to fit on. You gotta have this so that we can put our master cylinder on. Then this thing, I fought with this thing for 3 hours, and I ain't kidding you. The other side, it just bolts onto the outside, no big deal. This side over here, it actually goes behind the mounting brackets on the frame and in front of the motor. And the very top one up here has a threaded nut on it, welded to it, that the long bolt that goes in the top brace screws into it. It has to be lined up perfect. I fiddled, cause see, I could not get this off from the bracket. If you buy one new, it comes disassembled and you just throw the bracket up in here, no big deal. But this come together. And no matter how I tried to fit it, it would not go. I did take my oil lines off from down here. I didn't lose, but maybe a thimble full of oil, if that, because it hasn't ran in a while. So I finally figured out I could take this brake lever, snake it up under here, get this shaft up under here, then get everything lined up. Oh, what a mess. So literally, it would have been 3 hours of footage for you, so I'm kind of glad we lost that footage. Now, we're making good progress now. All we gotta do is mount this rear fender. I can go ahead and throw the front fender on just for looks sakes, but it ain't gonna do no good. We gotta bleed the brakes. We gotta get the carb on here. It did not come with an air cleaner or any mounting for the carb. So I'm just gonna have to put something up there to keep that carb from popping out on us while we're going down the road. All I wanna do is go down the road and back, make sure this thing shifts and runs good. That's all I'm trying to accomplish here. My breather tube, we can just run it somewhere and zip tie it over to the other side of the swing arm, down out of the way. Bleeding the brakes, throwing the tank on. The wiring is already done as far as it being able to run. I will have to, just kind of make sure nothing's going to drag or catch at anything. I'll cap this off for a rectifier, feedback, just things like that. The pickup, I've still got the little tabs on it, so nothing's going to spark there. I will wrap some tape around this just so as it's hanging, it doesn't ground out or spark on us there. Then we'll check the oils, all that. We'll put some gas in the gas tank. I got to throw the petcock in there. The tank inside looks pretty good, so I think we're going to be good there. Throw some oil in the primary, get that buttoned up. Hopefully we can find a bolt at the hardware store and then just throw that in there. We already had it kind of timed where it's going to run for us. Get our exhaust on. We got our exhaust studs. I know that some of y'all wanted to see that, so I'm going to wait and do that. We should just need one stud and then all the bolts. I think we'll be ready to go. So I got a full day tomorrow to do this, to film, to edit, and to upload it. So I'm trying to get ahead, but boy, it's just hard filming and not being able to get ahead. I'd like to film about a month ahead. I've got to run. We'll find some bolts to throw in here and the braces as well, just so we kind of know everything. I want to clean this bin out when we're done and make sure that the things that go back in the bin are what we take off and going to reuse. And then the rest we can just put up in storage. I did take that chrome cover off. So I think I want to take the tank off and take it to Spears as well and let him do something with it. It's not dented. The chrome cover had a dent in it. We might reroute some of these anyway to be a little nicer and a little better. But it's coming along. All right, I'll see you in the morning again. Well, good morning to you. Or actually, afternoon now. Had a lot of errands to run this morning. Good night. But we mailed off all of the 8K winners prizes. And believe it or not, Ace Hardware had the 5/16 24 pitch. Let's see. Yes, please, please, please. Oh, yes. We might have to shorten this or put a couple of washers behind this to bring this out. But I think at this time, we are ready to go back on. I'm not going to be able to use this dowel. Well, the dowel has ran off. It got tired of our nonsense. Let's get the gasket up here. I don't have the dowel to hang on the gasket back here, so I'm just going to squirt some of this really good Durco HT gray. Put a dab there on it. That'll help hold the gasket up for us and help kind of seal where I don't have that dowel in there. Put some on the back side of this as well, where that dowel would have went. And here's the deal. I was so worried not having the time to get this bike on the road in this video, because we tried that last video and it didn't work. And you know what I said in the last video? I sometimes need to take my own advice. I said in the last video, look, we're going to take our time. So if we get this on the road in this video, today's my last day to film before Friday video. So we'll give it our best today. But we got ball games tonight, you know, life just going. Okay, now we're ready to go on with the primary, but with the cover, but I've got to do something about this hole here because that's not going to fit. So what I've got to do is drill this out with a 5/16 bit, and then I might have to take a Dremel and Dremel around here to waller this out a little bit bigger, but I got to be careful because it's awful thin right there. So I got this drilled out. Let's see how this works. Oh gosh. All right, so I'm not going to be able to use a washer behind there. So that's just going to be okay. I don't think I'm going to have that much thread back there. So we will be having to cut this down. But now we can go ahead and put this on. So I've got the adjuster for the primary all the way down flush. So that's not going to be in the way. Now we got to hold this spring up here as we're putting this on. So I like to start putting it on here first, make sure this is lined up. Then as I get close, I'll take my finger and push this up so that it covers over this right here and it sets right up here and rides. So let me get this lined up, get it up here till I can feel my spring. Then I'll hold my spring up and then get that right up on there like that. Instead of a 3/16 bolt, it's going to be a 1/4 inch. And I want to use this 1/4 inch ratchet, not a 3/8 ratchet, so that I do not over tighten it, strip those threads. But hey, look, I think we might be okay here. No. Okay, so we are a good, I need to measure that and then cut off, because I only bought 1 bolt. I should have bought 2, but I didn't. Why don't we do this? Now that we know this is going to work, let's get the other bolts in. I want to blue Loctite those. I want to torque them and then work on this last. We're not going to have to cut off much of the threads, but I got to find me a nut. I should have bought a nut while I was there so that I can go ahead and screw the nut on the bolt and then cut the bolt shorter and then just draw the nut off, and that'll kind of like re-thread it. So maybe about 2, 3, maybe about 4 threads I want to be cutting off that. I have no idea where these go, so we're just going to start poking. That looks good. We are going to torque these very, very easily. I'm going to go the least I can at 80 because I don't know how this is going to work. Whew, I'm nervous as a cat. I don't like how they're feeling. That's all I'm going to go with that. Some of these I don't like how they're feeling. All right, that's all I'm going to go with that. I just don't want to cause any more problems. Okay, some of these didn't feel good. I got them to about 75. That's all I'm going to go. That's it. But we do need to get a nut on here, and then I need to shave this off. And then we'll put it back in there and see how that does. I'm not going to be able to put a washer on it, but it does fit. Yes, there's 3 different types of hardware on this, but it's on. All right, I got her shaved off what I think she should be. So now let's see. I cut that thing too short, didn't I? You are kidding me. I cut this too short. Why did I not buy 2? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I cut 6 instead of 4. Anybody got a bolt stretcher? What in the devil? Oh my goodness. Yeah, man, could probably Dremel this out. That would look just ugly. Here's what I'm going to do though. Instead of this holding us up and not getting this on the road for this video, I'm going to do the right thing and just RTV it and stick it in the hole. That'll be fine for just going down the road, because guess what? I'm not going to change the oil filter. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm not going to change the oil. I will add oil to it, but I'm not changing it. Why? Because after we get back from our ride, we're pulling the oil tank and we're getting that to Spears as well, so he can do his magic. So I'm not worried about any of that. I'll put that right in there. We'll let that set up, and guess what? That'll be good for going down the road. And then I will buy another boat. Okay. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You know, when you work on old bikes, you'll have a common phrase that all the old bike owners have. Wrench, ride, and repeat. Wrench, ride, and repeat. Wrench, ride, and repeat. And that's just kind of life with old bikes. But that's what makes it fun. You get to know your bike and work on your own bike. That's for the mid controls that we don't need anymore. Remember, these go back to back like this. So we'll put this in. We'll get our skinny screwdriver. Get that held in there. We'll run this in till we can't run it in anymore. Turn this backwards to draw it in, and with that new bearing and new plate in there, it should feel really good now. When we bottom out, it should bottom out and not keep going back on us. Boom, right there. We'll go a quarter turn out. Very good. And then we'll get this lined up in our slot. Ooh, right on there. Magic. We'll grease this up. A little bit of oil there. And then we'll put the cap on. I believe the book calls for 24 or 27 fluid ounces, but that transmission is dry. So what I'm going to do, good grief, what's going on with this? So what I'm going to do is just pull that fill plug, and I'm just going to dump it in there until it fills up to that. There, just had to hold my mouth right. And this neat little tool that was sent to me, we'll give it a shot. So we'll see how it tightens as well, because these things can get kind of wallered out on you, and they don't have to be on there tight. All right, let's see how this does. Oh yeah, does pretty good. All right, that should be good. Now we'll need to take this one off here, and this is where we're going to fill from. And before we fill, we'll need to adjust our primary chain right down here. I believe it's a 7/16 maybe, or is it a 1/2 inch? No, it's a 1/2 inch. All right, that's where I want it right there. So now I've got to hold. Now I don't want this tightening on me, so I'm going to hold it, put it in the opposite direction while I'm tightening this lock nut. Yes, perfect. All right, now we should finally be able to add oil. So I gotta take this plug out and drop this down where it's kind of out of the way on us. And now this has been, boogered up bad, really, really bad. So is anything going to grip in there? Okay, I see where they've kind of tried to cut a slit. So I'll either find a replacement bolt for this, or I'll go ahead and finish cutting a slit so that it becomes a flathead. It's just an inspection, or it's just a fill plug. That's all that it is, nothing more. Let's see if I can do the old hammer thing on it. Yes, I don't know if I'll be able to find one that short, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut the slit in it, finish that cut on it, and then it'll be a flathead. That'll be fine. That'll work really, really fine for us. All right, I've got about 28 here. I'm just going to start putting in till we see it start to come out of there. Now I am going to go slow, because if you pour it straight down on here, you're liable to see it come out and think you're done, but you're actually not. So don't just dump a whole bunch in there all at once. It needs time to get down here. It needs time to go back in the transmission. And it's also a good time to see if we're going to have any big leaks or anything. Okay, we're at about 27 right now. I think it's going to take, I'm guessing, about 29 to 30. It does have a little gasket on it here, so I think it's going to be okay and seal up good for us. The gasket's still nice and soft. Okay, let's put the rest of this 28 in, and then we'll probably get a couple more ounces. So if you just went by the book, then you would not have enough oil in here for your primary and your transmission. That's the important part. It's got to go through this little trap door at the bottom and weep back in there and get all in your transmission, and then come out and fill up in here until it comes out here. We might be right at it, I'm not sure. I'd rather have just a little more than a little less, just because on the Sporties, they do feed the transmission as well. Now, is that a good design? I don't know. Some people like it, some people say that's a terrible idea. Okay, so far I don't see any leaks or weeping, that's great. I've got about 6 more ounces in here. It's not gonna take that, but I'm not even gonna squeeze. I'm just gonna let it drip and run down. There, now it's fully coming out that hole. I don't want it just weeping out, I want it fully coming out. So when I let go, it comes out. On our thing, we got a nice slit in it now for a flathead. Now some people don't like the fact that I do that. That I'll cut a flathead in a bolt and reuse it. But I tell you, working on older bikes, the older the bike it is, the more you're gonna see flatheads on everything. You're just gonna see that. And to me, a flathead is really nice to have on a boat in some situations. Because if I'm out riding and all I got on me is a pocket knife, I can get a bolt off with said pocket knife if I can get it in there to turn it. Now we can finally put our cable on. That'll feel good. And then we can squeeze it, see how it's going to feel and react. We're getting closer. We might actually just make it. Now I do have to come back and fix this, but this will be good for us while we're just test driving it. Okay, so in putting a clutch cable on the actual housing itself, there's a couple ways to do it. You can pull this pin out here. There's a little cutter, there's a little snap ring under here. You're going to lose your mind trying to get that off. Then you pull this out, then this whole thing can come out, and then you can get your cable in. Because with it on the bars, you can't go back far enough to get your cable in. Another option, and I think is sometimes a better option, is to just take the housing off. That's all you got to do. Then what you can do is move this back enough to actually reach what you need. And then we'll just snap this back up in there. So I'm going to bring this out and keep my peepers up there on the housing till it bottoms out. And then I want to adjust, not by pushing it on the handle, but by pulling out on the cable. And I should have a nickel's worth of length space between that. So I want to go until I do. That's a little too tight. Perfect. If you do it enough times, you don't even need to get the nickel out of your pocket. You'll just kind of be able to eyeball it. So now we'll just take this lock nut down, put the 1/2 inch, and then all we want to do is just secure it. Doesn't have to be a lot. Boom, that's it. Now we can probably have to grease this boot up, as old as it feels. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, so now, oh yeah, oh that feels great. Oh, clutch feels good on that. Okay, with that clutch side and primary being done, that was the majority of what was holding us up. All I need to do is just zip tie these up here where I can get a tank on it, get our carb hooked up with the throttle cables, find a way to mount this carb up here, and then let's get our exhaust studs in that's missing on this, and our new nuts, hang our exhaust. I did find a hanger, actually 2 of them, so I don't know which one works with what, but we got these. But before that, we got to work out brakes. Now, I can do the old Fred Flintstone thing, but I got a big old hill I live on, and I don't know about that. Might be one of those right in the ditch till it levels out. But I do want some type of brakes. If it's just rear, if it's just front, I don't care. That'll work. My easiest course of action looks like it's probably going to be the rear. Okay, I'm starting on the rear brakes here. I've got it mounted up to the plate. I got the pin back in so the brake lever does work. I took the reservoir cap off and it had a little bit of fluid in it, and the fluid looked pretty good. So I filled it up with a DOT5 and I am getting some air bubbles. Now I'm going to go over here and bleed. Anytime you're dealing with an old bike, take the bleeders out. Here is why. Clogged bleeder. So you will go to bleed this thing and it'll drive you batty, and it's a clogged bleeder, especially if it doesn't have the cap on it. So get you one of these little carb cleaner pin things and run down in these holes, get all that goop out, and then run down in this hole You'll find there's just trash down there. Maybe dirt daubers, maybe bugs, maybe rust, maybe goop. There we go. Now this will bleed, so always do that on these old bikes. It just takes a little bit of extra time and it'll save you a ton of bleeding. Now this has got forward controls. The brake caliper on the Sporty is on the left side. So I'm going to actually take a piece of 2x4 or a broom handle and actually use it while I'm standing over here so I can bleed, and then lean over and keep an eye on this reservoir. But it is bubbling up. That's good. The size on these bleeders are 3/8, and I always take my bleeders out with a ratchet. That way I don't strip them. Then once I get the bleeder out and the threads are good and going in and out, then I can use a wrench. Oh gosh, no, that thing's 3 foot long. Take me a broom handle. Hopefully I can keep it on there. Now, oh gosh, don't. All right, let me try the fat end of the broom. I'll break it. I got good junky fluid coming out. Rusty color, but I got fluid flow. Release, I'm gonna pump it a couple times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold it down. Oh, there's some good hair coming out. I don't have any paint stuff on here, so I ain't got to worry about that. We're repainting anyway. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A lot of air. That's good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. This means our reservoir and master cylinder is pumping because it's shooting air out. Oh, now my brake pedal's getting stiffer. That's good. Okay, let me go check a reservoir. I don't want it running dry on us. Whew, glad I checked it. Fill that up. Now let me see what we feel like over here. Okay, it's getting better. Oh, it's getting real good. Now, again, I've not raised the rear tire up, but that feels actually pretty good. It's going down about 1/4 before it grabs. That's good. Oh, this is fun. Now that this is taken care of, besides this bolt that you cut off too short, I told you not to. We're rocking and rolling now. Oh gosh. Oh, she's real stiff now. I think this is gonna be our last little. Oh yeah, that was the last of it right there. Seal that up. Thank you, broom. Dollar Tree broom. It came in handy. Oh yeah, we're gonna have good back brakes. Cap and gasket looks really good, and the cap says clean filler cap before removing. Whoops, we did. Is it just me, or every time I set a bolt down I turn around and it just takes off like it's never where I just set it like 2 seconds ago? Maybe that's just me. I'm sure you never deal with that. And on those caps now, remember, don't squeeze them down gorilla tight. You'll smash out that rubber in there and then you'll leak. It'll get a leak. Not so big of a deal down here, but up here it'll leak on your tank. Ooh, that'd be detrimental. Okay, now I'm gonna lower the lift down so that we can work on the front. If it goes as great as this, we're in business. I did find another brake caliper over there that had bolts in it and the washers, and guess what? No leaks. Yay! Let the lift down so we can check our reservoir. And we might have to do it with the bike off the lift because my reservoirs with them bars, those kind of rabbit ear bars, it's way over. Okay, I got a back brake. I don't hardly ever use front brake anyway. We'll bypass that for now. And all my excitement, I forgot the battery, so I gotta go parts store and get a battery. While I'm there, I'm replacing these. So I'm just going to get, one was actually smooth, this one, so I just got to replace these 3 here. Okay, back from the parts store, got a battery. Try to find these things with the smooth bottles. Yeah, forget it. Forget it. Part stores don't have them. They have these with like connectors on the side, like holes, like a bracket with a hole, so you can mount it like to a firewall or something like that. That's what these were. And they tried to bend them up and then cut them off. So that's not going to work. There were special ordered ones to try to find the one like this that's smooth. I'm like, good grief, they're $10 a piece. I was like, never mind. I'll just grind these down. Hope it doesn't blow or melt anything on the inside. On the way back here, I thought, wait a minute. This bike came up with buckets and buckets and buckets. Whole nother wiring harness. Smooth relays that will snap in the fender. Ha. So I'm just going to take these off, put them on the other ones. And look, this one has that little crossover bar too. So is that stock? You Sportster guys, tell me. Maybe that's a little stock bracket. So I'm going to get these off here and swap them over. Okay, I've been getting on it. Got the rear fender mounted up, and it is cattywampus. So I don't know if it's the fender or the tire or what. I don't think it's the fender. It might be just the tire kind of being off a little. Carburetor mounted up professionally, so that's good. That's not going anywhere on us. I've tried 3 different throttle cables. They were all short and not long enough. I found this one in the box of parts, and it is working fine. We're going to run single cable for right now. I got the front tire tightened up, the axle in, I got the speedometer gear in, and I've got the speedometer cable on. I did have to switcheroo them around. This was a good gear, this was a good cable. So I popped them off, popped them on. No big deal on that. Now I've got to find the shifter for this. Here, I got my battery hooked in. Now look, this is just like a, hey, can we get to the bike show? Because I told my buddies I had a motorcycle kind of deal. We're just gonna go down the road on it, that's all. I got this taped up. I got our relays stuck in there best I can. So this here is our exhaust stud that's missing. You're not gonna be able to see up in there, but when you get a new stud, you're gonna see not only a long side and a short side, but also different pitch, different threads. So the fine thread is actually what's gonna be what your exhaust studs go onto. The coarse thread is what's going to screw in. So I usually just double nut them like this. It's got this kind of spacer built into it that's not threaded, that kind of locks in. And then what you can do is you can red Loctite this if you want. I usually don't, because they usually don't ever come off. If you go to change your pops out and they do come off, then just red Loctite it and put it back. So now it's just a point of taking a 1/2 inch, not a 7/16, getting on there. I like to use a 1/4 inch ratchet, so that way I don't go too gorilla on it. I might even just start with my hands and just get it kind of started up in there nice and straight. Very good. Okay, so that exhaust stud is in, as you can see. Well, maybe you can't see, it's out as far as this other one, and that's going to do good for us. So there's our 2 front nuts. So I've got 3 studs left. If you need them, holler. I got them. Talk about a sketchy ride. This is going to be, all right, I got to find that shifter. I am running out of time. We got a ball game in 30 minutes. I got to edit all this. Uploading takes 2 to 3 hours. Thumbnail creation, all that stuff. Descriptions, oh my goodness. We got one shot. If not, well, we'll be back on it next week. I'll come out in the morning, start filming, and seeing why I won't run, but we had it running. Tank's on. I hate how that petcock sets. I think the mounting bracket for this is not right for the bike or the tank, one of the two. We got tanks, we got different options, we got different brackets, so we can try that. But what I've got to do, I got to find that shifter. We got to throw some air in these dry rotted tires, put a helmet on and go. All right, I got to throw some air in the tire, gas in the tank, put the GoPro up there, and let's go for a quick spin. we did it. We did it. Yes. This thing hasn't been on the road since who knows how long. It shifted great. Once the oil got up there in the clutch, I do have to adjust the clutch. No big deal. It's not leaking anything. Now, when we first started, I could hear lifter ticking. And so I was hoping it would come around. On the way back, it did. It went away. The carburetor popped off when I got to the stop sign. So my zip ties didn't work. I don't know why. But anyways, I slapped it back on, fired right back up. You probably saw it in the video. My GoPro kept kind of falling on me. I'm sorry. I'll try to edit it best I can. But we did it. This is a running, riding bike. A lot more to do. We've got to take these tins off and the oil tank off, have Spears do his magic on it. In the meantime, we can clean this motor up, do the wiring as it should be. My speedometer never did work. But all in all, she's a runner. She sure is. So thank you folks so much. It took us 3 parts to get this on the road, but we did it. It is running, it is riding. The back brakes did great. No front brakes at all, that's fine. Pipes sound awesome. Them straight pipes, man, just blah. So they sounded good. The tick went away, I'm happy about that, because at first, when we were going down the driveway, before I got on the road, I'm like, this is a bad motor. We're not going to be able to give this away. I don't want to give this away with a bad motor. But it wasn't. It did great. It did wonderful. So thank you so much. Our 10K bike's coming along well, and we're over 9,500 now, so it's coming up soon. This is going to make somebody a really good bike. The bars, I loved them. You're going to love these bars if you win this bike. It is vintage. They felt good. I thought my elbows would be in too tight. Nope, they felt great. So thank you so much for hanging out in the shop with me. And tell your mama now, I said hi. What is that? The chickens. The chicken said to your mama chickens, hi. Oh, by the way, we need a name for our 10K bike. Clack it in the comments.